The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Alfred Richard, movie critic for WWL-TV. Hey, Mr. Alfred.
Hello there, Peggy.
Great to see you. Hello. Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com. Howdy.
Hi.
Hello. And she's back, Rosary O'Neill. Yes, indeed. Co-author of the brand new book, Kate Chopin in New Orleans, with her daughter, Rory. Yes, congratulations.
Hey,
Hi.
thrilled.
It's great to see you. Hello. And by the way, if you're missing Miss Poppy, as we are, okay, she'll be back with us. And a little later, Dr. Ben Redwine and his jazz group will be playing for us. But we're really glad to see you. So much to catch up with, too. Starting out with Alfred.
All right, Peggy. Well, since we mentioned about Poppy not being here at this point, a part of what I'm going to be talking about has a bit of a food connection to it. I won't call that it is Louisiana Eats. But anyway, first of all, films are back in production now that the writer's strike is over and the performers are back in action. It seems that we're starting to wind things up. There are right now about seven projects are in the gate getting ready. Either they're in pre-production or post-production. So I want to bring a couple of them to you of note. Now, first of all, this is one that's been going on for some years. This is now season 3 of Leverage. This is called Leverage Redemption. And this has a young man who's been a visitor to New Orleans for a number of times, Noah Wiley. Now, I worked with Noah and the film on The Librarians that was filmed at the Museum of Art. And he is back with the group from Leverage. He also is bringing another young man who has been with us in the past, Aldous Hodge. Aldous Hodge is another member of the Leverage group, and the show has done extraordinarily well as people were calling for it for a 3rd season, and so it is back and ready. So season 3, the production is going on as we speak. It will end its production in May 22nd actually, and it will air on TNT and Freevee. Yes, the way technology is now, we have all these different streaming channels. So if you don't have TNT, you can watch it on Freevee. I like just saying Freevee. And this next production has 2 very young actors, very good actors, and it has a food connection. The reason why I say that, the working title of this production is called Grilled Cheese. Yes, that's what the working title is. By the time it goes to the theaters, it won't be called Grilled Cheese. But the star of this one is Michael B. Jordan. Ooh. Not to be confused with Michael Jordan from the Chicago Bulls. Michael B. Jordan, who, of course, did Creed, and he has been in the Black Panther films. And he is one of the main producers of this series, of this film. Sorry, it's a feature film. And Ryan Coogler, who is also from Black Panther and the sequel. So you're going to see a lot of young men here. It is going to be filmed all over the area. New Orleans, Donaldsonville, Hammond, on the North Shore as well. And I can at least say this right at this point. Just a little while ago, I was asked to be a part of the Grilled Cheese cast and filming.
So you're an extra in that one?
So I'm going to be a featured extra. So I get to do certain things. Who knows? You may see me playing a guitar, and that's the one there. But Grilled Cheese, it's a feature film, of course, starting in Donaldsonville and all along the New Orleans and the North Shore areas. The production will start on April 22nd and will go all the way into June 26th. So it's going to go into the heat of New Orleans time. So I hope everybody's going to be prepared for that. So approximately, they may shoot some more, but again, it will be released later in the year. Now, as for films that are already out, we've had some good films coming out, and occasionally. This is one that reminds me of an O. Henry story about gangsters or two men who kidnap a young kid, and they suddenly discover this kid is not what we expected, getting all this. This is called Abigail. It's about a group of 7 to 8 kidnappers who kidnap a 12-year-old girl, thinking that they can ransom the child. When they discover something that the child is not a 12-year-old, but a 1,000-year-old vampire. And so it's going to be scary, boys and girls, in that sense. Alicia Ware plays Abigail, the innocent young girl who will bear her fangs at you in this case. And Melissa Barrera is part of the cast trying to deal with this terror here. Again, this is rated R. So you're going to see a little gore and all that sort of things. But it is opening nationwide on Friday. And, of course, here in New Orleans. So if you want a film that you could sink your teeth, I had to say that. I'm sorry, I really had to say that. If you have to find a film that you want to sink your teeth in, Abigail may be what you're looking for. And that's what we're talking about right now.
All right, thank you so much. I'm so glad there's more activity in terms of production. Woo.
Oh, everyone is, and I can assure you all the production companies in the areas here are all happy that things are finally starting to pick up. And that's good that may be picking up during the summer, which is usually one of the doldrum times.
Absolutely. Well, Rosary, welcome back. My goodness, between you and your dear daughter, you all were talking about Edgar Degas the last time, but many books under your belt and so much more. The founder of Southern Rep, a longtime teacher here, playwright. The list is very, very long. But today we get to talk about Kate Chopin in New Orleans. And Kate Chopin was really kind of ahead of her time, wasn't she? Was a bit of a rebel.
Total rebel. Think of a person the age of someone who birthed your great-grandmother. And think of someone smoking a cigar, going out riding bareback, walking alone on the street without a chaperone, without a hat, smoking a cigar or a cigarette.
We have some pictures of her, and I love the name of the book, Kate Chopin in New Orleans. You really focus on those years, which were many.
14.
Yeah, 14. And writing The Awakening, set in this area, of course, and such the best known of her works, wasn't it?
Yeah. On Esplanade, in House on Esplanade. You know, it was so thrilling to me as a person from New Orleans to discover that this iconic writer, considered by many people today as the greatest American writer, was from New Orleans, or at least lived here 14 years, and I never knew about her. It was like Degas was here for 6 months, and I never knew about him. And this is a place that kind of develops writers, that inspires writers. It's so full of sensuality and audaciousness. And she loved it, and she wrote about it when she became famous and before she became famous.
Yeah. Well, I know that all was not necessarily well in her household. There were challenges with Oscar, weren't there?
Thank God it gave her material to write about. I mean, if you don't have
She also lived in Louisiana.
If you don't have any roles, what can you write about? This woman experienced everything. She buried, I hate to give away the story, but if you think of the worst thing that could happen to you, it did happen to her. She buried a husband. At the same time, she was having an affair with the only man who would really support her. And
many children.
She had 6 children. Wow. Because people thought their children would die. And hers didn't die. Hers lived. And 5 boys, okay? One right after the other.
Ooh.
At a time that women didn't go out when they were pregnant. And so pretty much she was trapped, although she went out anyway. And then when she went back to St. Louis to save herself, her mother died and left her with no money. So she had to figure out a way she could survive, and one of the few ways you could survive was to be a teacher. She had no credentials, really, or to be a writer. So she thought, well, maybe I could do that. She had 6 children. She didn't want them to starve.
Right.
So women, men, you could still do it.
Yeah. How did she end up in Cloucherville?
She ended up there because her husband went bankrupt. And the only way he could survive after going through all of his money in
Being
the
a
cotton
cotton
business.
merchant, yeah.
Well, you have to remember, her husband was not an American. He was from France. He got this inherited cotton business. He didn't really know how to run it, and he got it when cotton was out. This was in 1870. So over a period of 9 years, he fooled her into believing that they were somehow making it, until finally, in 1879, he said, "We're destitute. I'm completely broke. The only person who will take me in is my brother." She didn't particularly like his brother. His brother was a jerk, but his brother lived in a place called Coochieville. She had never heard of it. A town of 100 people, and way out somewhere in Louisiana that took like 4 or 5 hours in a buggy to get there, but it was that a starve. So it was Coochieville, here we come.
Wow. Well, you have you are doing many launches this weekend. We're going to show just a few of them, but you're going to be, let's say, this weekend, starting off at Peatod House, and that's an historic house in itself with connections, and then you're going to be over at the New Orleans Museum of Art, so you'll still be in the neighborhood a few days later.
Right.
And then uptown at Garden District. So we'll be seeing this as we chat. But one of the things that is also very dear to your heart is the life of Edgar Degas, his experiences in New Orleans. And there were some kind of time connections there too, weren't there?
I'm going to back up to the Peatod House. The reason why we're happy to be there is that Kate Chopin's house was burnt down. She created a lot of scandal with these things that she did, and there were people who actually hated her and still hate her in that rural area. And mysteriously, the book that she had, Awakening, in the library, that listed the different people who each character was named for, because she used specific people in her writing, that was destroyed, and her house was burnt down. But the Peatod House is almost the exact replica. So that's why we use it.
I didn't know that. Gee whiz.
And it was the house of the great-grandmother of Edgar Degas. So there's that whole,
all kinds of connections. Well, what I like is that you incorporate more information, because I know you did the Degas book just a few years back, and you incorporated some updated old stuff, information in there too,
new stuff.
because it's the connections. But congratulations, you keep on going, Rosary.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
In 2009, writer Dan Baum wrote a book called 9 Lives, telling the story of 9 Orleanians and their Hurricane Katrina experiences. Beloved New Orleans composer, guitarist Paul Sanchez penned a musical based on the book a few years after the publication of the book. A new production is coming to the Civic. We have an excerpt. Here is Tony Award winner and Orleanian Michael Cerveris, who portrays bar owner Joanne Guidos, whose bar was an oasis for locals who stayed behind in the storm. In the clip, Guidos references his decision to change gender. Guidos is one of many heroes who stayed behind to help Hurricane Katrina victims. Let's take a look.
Joanne, they yell and they bang on the bar. Joanne, they call from the door. Joanne, we're glad you are who you are. Thank God you're not John anymore. They yell and they bang on the bar. They call from the door. I never thought I'd get this far. Thank God I'm not John anymore. They yell and they bang on the bar. They call from the door. I never thought I'd get this far. Thank God I'm not John anymore. Thank God I'm not John anymore. My people got nowhere to go, and I'm not leaving them.
Wow, so powerful, and Michael will be once again in 9 Lives, and so will Brian Batt. It's quite the star-studded group on April the 29th. This is, of course, the musical story of New Orleans, as it's called, and it will take place Monday, April 29th at the Civic Theatre on O'Keefe Avenue. Go to Ticketmaster.com for more information. Alan.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to say that Dan Baum passed away not that long
Yes,
ago. He was
yes.
he loved New Orleans and loved researching it. So we got to talk about Noises Off. And again, for those of you who don't know, playwright Michael Frayn claims he got the inspiration to write Noises Off more than 50 years ago when he was watching a comedy play out. He was backstage. He'd written the comedy, and he said to himself that several ways this thing could be actually much more funny, the action that's taking place on and off the stage, you know, as the actors go in, make their entrances and their exits, etc. He thought that'll be funny. So it's considered one of the funniest British farces ever. It's really essentially a play within a play. Each of the actors is playing an actor playing a role in the imaginary play that's titled Nothing On. The play's broken down into really 3 segments as we see the same scene play out first in the final dress rehearsal for the company. Then the second act is about a month later as the troupe's on the road trying to put the scene on again amid new challenges that are revealed from a backstage perspective. And then finally the stage turns around once more and we see the final repeated scene about 6 weeks later as the play's run is coming to an end and personalities and relationships, some real and some imagined, create real havoc on stage. Harold Hino is directing this work with a cast that includes Jonathan Maris, who you saw there as a British twit, Gary Lejeune, Elizabeth McCoy as blonde bimbo Brooke Ashton, Mary Lee Jacobs and Leon Convespri as bumbling Brits Belinda Blair and Frederick. The director of the piece is Lloyd Dallas. He's played by Benjamin Clement, who is simultaneously carrying on an affair with Brooke and the assistant stage manager, Poppy, played by Bailey Gabrish. The stage manager, Timothy Allgood, played by Miles Hamawi, is also doing excellent work on stage. He's doing everybody's work, though, as he tries to fill in for an aged alcoholic actor, Selsden, portrayed by David Jacobs, who, by the way, is Mary Lee Jacobs' real-life husband. And then there's plenty of laughs in this play. A number of cases where the critical timing in the comedy is a little slightly off or forced, and maybe a little bit deliberately slowed down for others to catch up. But the nature of a farce is that as Noises Off is played more and more, the actors will become more comfortable in it, and the players will actually play their roles, I think, a lot better. This iteration of Noises Off does enjoy many more redeeming features than its few shortcomings. A shout out to Eric Porter, by the way, if you saw that set, for its impressive set design, Olivia winner for props, and also Antoinette de Alderez as costume designer for the first time at JPS, and Jonathan Michael Gonzalez for the lighting. That Noises Off play will finish this weekend at JPAC. So now, if it's mid-April, which it is, it's time to celebrate the birthday of the Bard, William Shakespeare, who will be celebrating his 460th birthday on April the 20th. It's also the day we remember that he made his final exit from the world on the same date. In order to celebrate, though, everybody's invited to attend a big party at Longview Gardens this Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. And again, the event will essentially be kicking off the Shakespeare Festival, and it's going to start with the New Orleans presentation of the complete works of Shakespeare to be directed by Graham Burke. And this is basically 3 actors attempting to reprise all of Shakespeare's most famous works in one sitting. It sounds silly, and it is, but it'll be great fun. That'll be from June the 7th through the 16th. And then it'll be time for Shakespeare's tragedy of the great Roman Emperor Julius Caesar. This is going to be directed by Salvador Menino. It's going to run from July the 12th through the 21st. Come for the Ides of March and stay for the assassination and the drama that follows as the forces of Mark Antony and Brutus oppose one another. That's the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival, Julius Caesar. They're going to have a lot of other presentations that'll be on throughout the summer as well. We'll let you know about those as well. But if you buy your tickets now, you get 10% off. That's a little bit of a savings there. And I did want to mention one other play that is, again, another comedy. I didn't receive information about this in time to mention it last week, but from the University of New Orleans, they have a production of Oliver Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer. This is a comedy that should be very funny. The final shows are tomorrow and Saturday night, and I hope that people who get a chance to go there will enjoy that. They have a very good production company over there at UNO, and again, David Hoover, of course, is in charge of many of the things that go on there, and they've won many awards. So, check it out, UNO. I wish I had a little bit more information on it to pass on.
All right, thank you very much. On Sunday afternoon, the sounds of traditional jazz will be heard in Covington, thanks to some very devoted musicians. Dr. Ben Redwine and members of his band came by to give us a taste. Ben, they'll be jazzing it up in Covington on Sunday, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I'm the jazz coordinator for the North Shore Traditional Music Society. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Covington, and we'll be putting on our yearly jazz concert called Swingtime in Springtime. That'll feature Richard Moten on the bass, Leroy Jones on the trumpet, David Mahoney on the drums, Don Vappy on the guitar, and I'll be playing clarinet.
Pretty illustrious. Now, will we hear quite a wide range of traditional jazz? What are we going to listen to?
Yes, I've asked each of the musicians to bring 4 or 5 of their either songs that they think are historically significant to the history of jazz, or maybe they're their favorite songs, or in the case of a couple of instances, music that the performers have composed themselves.
Very good, very good. Now, when it's not Sunday afternoon, once a year, where else can we hear traditional jazz?
Well, on the North Shore, this North Shore Traditional Music Society, we have a jazz jam the first Saturday of every month at 9 a.m. in downtown Covington, which I lead.
Very good. And what about the English Tea Room? I understand sometimes there,
I play
too?
at the English Tea Room occasionally and at Southern Hotel. Yes.
Yeah. Well, as we said, we're in pretty good company. Please introduce your fellow musicians.
Okay. Well, on the guitar, we have Christopher Talley. He actually happens to be the president of the North Shore Traditional Music Society.
That is a mouthful.
It is, yes.
And a very great one,
If it's easier to remember, nstms.org. That's the website. And you can learn all about this concert after I've fumbled all these words.
And who else do we have?
We have David Mahoney on the drums.
All right, David. And I know David's a De La Salle alum, and I know there are a lot of proud De La Salle alums out there, too. What are you going to play for us tonight?
Today, we're going to play right now Lady Be Good by the great George Gershwin.
All right, take it away. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, that is Sunday at 2 p.m., the Furman Auditorium, and you see the tickets available at bontalsticks.com, or I'm sure you can get them at the door. But congratulations to that group. Appreciate spreading the word, spreading the jazz. And now time for our picks. Alfred.
All right, this is a classic that's at the Britannia Theater. It stars Charles Boyer, Ingrid Bergman, Joseph Cotton, and Angela Lansbury in one of her first roles. It's Gaslight, and not only do you see the film at the Britannia Classic, you get to hear the music of Phil Melanson, who will be providing music at that time, too.
Good. He has a show coming up we'll be talking about soon, too. Alan.
Well, it's not Big Frida, but we will get to see the LPO perform again on May the 2nd with her. But the annual Swing in the Oaks is coming on first. That's going to be at City Park, the Great Lawn, and also the Peristyle. The event's free with the maestro Matthew Kramer holding the baton. And again, you know that it's going to be John Philip Sousa's The Stars and Stripes Forever concluding the concert. Again, I'll see you at the theater.
And thank you very much. And now my picks on Saturday morning at 10:30 at the corner of Bienville and Chartres. A tiny parade of turtles will go down Chartres to St. Peter and then down Royal to Bredden's for festivities, including a turtle pardoning, a blessing, and a reception. These turtles actually do live in the restaurant's courtyard fountain.
Wow.
Okay. On Saturday evening, the New Orleans Ballet Association presents the Parsons Dance Troupe with the Alan Toussaint Orchestra led by his son, Reggie Toussaint. What a collaboration. Toussaint compositions and great dance. Here's a clip from an earlier production.
Southern sky. Have you ever noticed southern sky? This precious beauty lies deep beyond the eye. Goes rushing to your soul like the stories told of old.
Yes, we can, and no, we can. Yes, we can. Why can't we if we want to? Yes, we can.
I know we can make it work.
I know that we can.
I know we can make it if we try.
Oh, yes, we can, and no, we can. Yes, we can. Great gosh almighty, yes, we can, and no, we can. Oh, yes, we can, and no, we can. Yes, we can. Why can't we if we want to? Yes, we can. Oh, yes, we can, and no, we can. Yes, we can. Great gosh almighty, yes, we can, and no, we can.
Wow, that is Saturday night at 7:30 at the Mahalia Jackson Theater. Go to nobadance.com for details and tickets. On Sunday from 1 to 5, don't forget the Piety Market with a Jazz Fest theme at Hotel Peter and Paul. Music, jewelry, beauty products, vintage clothing, food, so much good stuff there. Check out their website, and they also have a Facebook page. On Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., WYES's own Errol Laborde will sign and discuss his new book, When Rex Met Zulu and Other Chronicles of the New Orleans Experience. That's at the East Bank Regional Branch of the Jefferson Library. It had been postponed due to bad weather a few weeks ago. There'll also be brief readings from his book. And speaking of publications, Renaissance Publishing, which publishes many local magazines, has created a book that is a compilation of photos of many of the courts of the New Orleans Carnival, a Mardi Gras cruise. It's called The Courts of Carnival. They are also, look how beautiful that is. Where are you going to see that? And sometimes they'll show you the invitation and the favors. It's very cool. By the way, though, Renaissance is also doing the Jazz Fest program. The Dixie Cups are on the cover. So you can go to myneworleans.com, click on Shop to order. And here we go. I've got the actual Jazz Fest program in person here. Really be great to have. Thank you all so much. Great to see you again, Rosary.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Good night.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.